They say, the wonder is, not that the field of stars is so vast, but that we have measured it.
Welcome to MojoPlays. Today we're looking at everything we know about Starfield.
It's a next-generation role-playing game where you'll be who you want, go where you want, experience our stories, and forge your own.
What do you hope to see in Todd Howard's first new IP in decades?
Before we begin, we publish new content all week long, so be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.
Robot companions.
Graviton loop array full check.
When Todd Howard did a Reddit AMA in November 2021, one of the most specific questions levied towards him was whether Starfield will have robot companions. In his response, Todd only said, kind of. What that means is anyone's guess, though we did briefly see a robot in one of the trailers. Perhaps the game Starfield will get compared to the most, Obsidian's The Outer Worlds, also featured a robot companion called Sam, who was a lot of fun.
Would you like to register your Sam? Registering new owner, Captain.
We hope it's a quirky, interesting robot companion, rather than the bizarre robots Bethesda added in Fallout 4 with Automatron DLC. Robots that people built once or twice and then almost completely lost interest in. Still, is there any sci-fi epic really complete without an endearing mechanical friend? Creation Engine 2. If you assume Starfield's teaser trailer was all a pre-rendered cinematic, we can't blame you, but you may be surprised to learn that it wasn't. In fact, it was all rendered in Creation Engine 2, which Bethesda says will also be the engine used for The Elder Scrolls 6. This is certainly a far cry from the days of Gamebryo. However, while Creation Engine 2 might look great, it's not a brand new engine, as you've probably already guessed. It will be building on the same foundations as all of its predecessors, which means it will almost definitely be full of glitches. Potentially, even the same glitches as Morrowind. But perhaps the Microsoft acquisition, plus the disaster of Fallout 76, will make Bethesda strive for a more stable performance this time around.
What you've found, it's the key to unlocking everything.
Full mod support.
This is all we've been working towards.
Jonathan route looks good.
But you won't have to worry about the potential bugs too much because, continuing old traditions, Starfield will have full mod support from Bethesda. With Fallout 4, Bethesda even enabled mods across consoles, something rarely seen. So we're glad to see Bethesda's commitment to its own community continuing, especially when Fallout 76's always online nature meant it was impossible to mod. It's always nice to see game developers acknowledge that their game is going to be torn apart by modders and encourage that. It's only a matter of time before everybody reskins all the enemies as Barney the dinosaur and turns all the spaceships into giant flying trains, and we wouldn't have it any other way. Background.
Like ecliptic mercenaries, pirates of the Crimson Fleet, violent spacers, or even the fanatical religious zealots of House Va'ruun.
Fallout 4 had one of the most massive and ridiculous character creators of all time, letting you make all manner of bizarre-looking people to explore the Commonwealth with. But one of the biggest problems with Fallout 4 was that you couldn't change your background whatsoever. If you played as a man, you were a former soldier, and if you played as a woman, you were a former lawyer. And in both instances, you'd have a dead spouse and a missing son. It seems Todd has listened to this particular criticism, as Starfield will allow you to customize your character's background.
It's a next-generation role-playing game where you'll be who you want, go where you want, experience our stories, and forge your own.
This is more similar to the way BioWare games have let you build a character, and will let you choose some preset options including being a scientist, a gambler, or even an outlaw.
And it gives you a ton of choice and many different ways to develop your character over the course of the game.
Pronouns.
More than that, Starfield's about hope, our shared humanity, and searching for the answers to life's greatest mystery.
Something else Bethesda is doing with the character creator is giving players the option to set their pronouns. This is absolutely great news for inclusivity, and players will be able to pick between he, him, she, her, and they, them pronouns. This was something Cyberpunk 2077 tried and ultimately failed to do, as it tied pronouns into voice selection.
Pressure's tanky.
It's neurogenic shock. He's dying.
But it's something very successfully implemented in Black Ops Cold War and Forza Horizon 5, the latter of which is one of the most inclusive games ever made. Hopefully, Bethesda getting on board with providing this option will mean that choosing pronouns is the industry standard.
Absolutely. Now get ready and stop hogging the mirror.
Right.
Setting and premise.
Around 20 years before the start of the game, the two largest factions in the settled systems, the United Colonies and Freestar Collective, engaged in the Bloody Colony War.
It's set around 300 years in the future when humanity has spread out and created multiple distant space colonies, part of a society called the United Colonies, that have since divided into their own unique cultures and identities. The player is always going to be a member of a group called Constellation, which Todd Howard described as the last group of space explorers.
We invite you to join Constellation, the last group of space explorers.
This is presumably the way to put the player in a position to explore so many different planets. Among the other factions, there's also the Freestar Collective, which has previously gone to war with the United Colonies, and there are probably many others we haven't even heard about yet.
Today, the major factions enjoy an uneasy peace, but the settled systems is still pretty dangerous. There are plenty of human threats out there.
Microsoft exclusive.
Wake up, Chief.
Hey, you. You're finally awake.
Following the news that Microsoft was seeking to buy Bethesda's parent company, ZeniMax, back in 2020, people were waiting with bated breath to see if this meant Bethesda's games would now become Microsoft exclusives. Ultimately, this proved correct. Going forward, first-party Bethesda games will be exclusive to Xbox consoles and PC. Games that have since come to PlayStation, like Deathloop, did so because of pre-existing agreements. This means that if you're a die-hard Sony adherent, you're out of luck. You're not going to be playing Starfield unless you buy an Xbox or a PC. But when you do, you can play it day one on Xbox Game Pass, just like every other first-party Microsoft IP.
Yes!
E3 2022.
At Bethesda, we believe video games do one thing better than anything else. They transport us. Through art and technology, there's real magic when you step into a new world and can make it your own.
Something else Todd Howard said on Reddit was to keep your eyes peeled come E3 2022 for plenty of new Starfield info. Until E3 2021, information on the game was pretty thin on the ground, but we're hoping to see a lot more next summer. This is in keeping with Bethesda's habit of showing tons of gameplay just a few months before a game releases, which they did with the last two Fallout games.
And now, for the first time in over 25 years, we're creating a new universe with Starfield.
This time, though, we know Starfield is coming, and we know to be on the lookout for it. Even if the game gets delayed, we're definitely going to see it shown off in a big way in 2022.
We're excited to finally share our first in-game teaser and something to look forward to.
Locations.
And as one of its newest members, you'll explore the deepest reaches of the settled systems, and you'll find yourself at home in the Starfield.
Bethesda has released a small handful of views with overviews of some of the game's core locations, as well as plenty of concept art, some of it even animated. The locations we have info on right now are New Atlantis, Aquila City, and Neon.
What you're looking at here is the pleasure city of Neon. The Xenofresh Corporation built a giant fishing platform on a rather nondescript aquatic world.
Neon is a decadent, visually stunning pleasure city, a huge platform with a dome on top that produces drugs. Aquila is a walled and diverse city that, ironically, values freedom, but keeps its citizens confined within to protect them from deadly wildlife. Finally, New Atlantis is the futuristic metropolis of your dreams, the biggest city in the game, and the United Colonies' its capital.
In a lot of ways, New Atlantis is a true reflection of the future of our world.
Release date.
It is awesome to share with you for the very first time one of the most anticipated games in the world from Todd Howard and the team at Bethesda Game Studios.
In late 2021, Starfield's release date was revealed as November 11th, 2022. In recent years, nearly all big games have seen at least one delay, if not more. So it wouldn't be surprising if we don't actually see Starfield until 2023. Obviously, it would be great if Starfield does release in 2022, but if it needs a little more time, then that's fine as well.
And it wasn't until now that we have the hardware, the technology, and the team who's hard at work at home to make that dream a reality.
On the other hand, we know Bethesda really isn't above releasing games absolutely full of bugs and glitches that in some cases are never even patched out. So, similarly, it's just as plausible that Starfield will come out in 2022 and will be full of myriad technical issues as a result. Or, on the flip side, maybe they've estimated the development time completely accurately and will be pleasantly surprised.
And go with us on the journey as we craft our next epic.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, there's more where that came from.